This week's episode of Irish Bandit Revolution is dedicated in the memories of Clark French and David Lloyd Marsh. Both of these guys were friends of mine who, Clark I've known for about, I would say 12 or 13 years now. We met as he ran a online e-wrestling fed that I was a part of, and we just had, there were so many of us who knew Clark and just got so close to him. I wish I could have been part of the CHZ road trips that the guys used to have, but being in Canada, them being in the States, it's a little easier for them. But Clark was a great man, a great father, a true patriot, and one of the most loyal friends you could ask for. And David, I met through a mutual friend of ours who pimped me out, so to speak, playing Mafia Wars at the time. But he was such an entertaining and outgoing individual that even when we stopped playing Mafia Wars, I had to continue being friends with him because he was just that kind of person, just good-natured, good-hearted, and an overall good person. So this week's edition of Irish Bandit Revolution, is dedicated to their memory. We will miss you both, and we'll see you both again very, very soon. This week on Irish Bandit Revolution, Mighty Marvel Month continues as the X-Men Retrospective continues. This week we are talking about X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men First Class, and the Wolverine. Irish Bandit Revolution begins now. Welcome back to another edition of Irish Bandit Revolution. I hope everyone is having a great week. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. Now let's get right into it. Of course, this is part 2 of the 3-part X-Men Retrospective. Last week we talked about the first 3 X-Men movies, X-Men, X2, and X-Men Last Stand. Today we're taking a look at the next 3, that being X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men First Class. That's a pretty nifty DVD cover, if you ask me. And the Wolverine. So let's just get right down into it, and let's talk about these movies, starting with X-Men Origins Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine was directed by Gavin Hood and produced by Lauren Schuler Donner, Ralph Winter, Hugh Jackman, and John Palmeo. It was written by David Benoff and Skip Woods. David Benoff would go on to write the television adaptation of Game of Thrones based on the George R.R. Martin series of Book of Fire and Ice. It starred Hugh Jackman, Liev Schreiber, Ryan Reynolds, who made this entire movie, Lynn Collins, Danny Houston, and Dominic Monaghan. Also has will.i.am in it as well. Don't know why. It was released on May 1st, 2009. Had a budget of $150 million and made $373 million at the box office, making it a hit. But the critical reception was not good. We'll get into that in a second. The basic outline of the movie is in 1845, James Howlett, a boy living in Canada, Northwest Territories, I do believe, witnesses his father being killed by his groundskeeper Thomas Logan. The anxiety activates the boy's mutation, bone claws protruding from his knuckles, and he impales Thomas, who reveals that he is James's birth father, before dying. James flees along with Thomas's other son, Victor Creed, who is thus James's half-brother, and has a healing factor mutation like James. They didn't get in that earlier, because the healing factor mutation is Logan's ability, not the bone claws. That's just a byproduct. They spend time fighting as soldiers in the American Civil War, both World Wars, and in Vietnam. In Vietnam, the increasingly violent Victor attempts to rape a Vietnamese woman and kills a senior officer who tries to stop him. James happens upon the fight and defends Victor, resulting in the pair being sentenced to execution by firing squad, which they survived due to their mutant healing abilities. They really can't be killed. William Stryker, who we met in the last movie, who was a colonel at that point, was only a major now, approaches them in military custody and offers them a membership in Team X, a group of mutants including Agent Zero, Wade Wilson, who would go on to become Deadpool. They so totally butchered John Wraith, Fred Dukes, and Chris Bradley. They joined the team for a few years, with James now using the alias Logan, but Victor and the group's lack of empathy for human lives causes Logan to leave. 6 years later, Logan is working as a logger in Canada, where he lives with his girlfriend, Kayla Silverfox. Stryker and Zero approach Logan at work. Stryker reports that Wade and Bradley have been killed, and he thinks someone is targeting the team's members. Logan refuses to join Stryker, but after finding Kayla's bloody body in the woods, Logan realizes Victor is responsible. He finds him at a local bar, but Logan loses the subsequent fight. Afterwards, Stryker explains that Victor has gone rogue, and offers Logan a way to become strong enough to get his revenge. Logan undergoes a painful operation to reinforce his skeleton with adamantium, a virtually indestructible metal. Once the procedure is complete, Stryker attempts to betray Logan by ordering that his memory be erased so he can be used as Stryker's personal weapon. But Logan overhears this and escapes to a nearby farm, where an elderly couple take him in. Zero kills him in the following morning and tries to kill Logan, but Logan takes down Zero's helicopter and swears to kill both Stryker and Victor. Logan locates John and Fred at a boxing club. Fred explains that Victor is still working for Stryker, hunting down mutants for Stryker to experiment on his new laboratory, located in a place called the Island. Fred mentions Remy Gambit LeBeau, the only one who escaped from the island, therefore knows its location. John and Logan find LeBeau in New Orleans, then both fight Victor, who kills John and extracts his DNA. Agreeing to help release mutants that Stryker captured, Gambit takes Logan to Stryker's facility on 3 Mile Island. Logan learns that Kayla is alive, having been forced by Stryker into surveilling him in exchange for her sister's safety. However, Stryker refuses to release her sister and denies Victor the adamantium bonding process for his service, claiming the test results revealed Victor would not survive the operation. Stryker activates Wade, now known as Weapon 11, a mutant killer with powers of multiple mutants. While Logan and Victor join forces to fight off Weapon 11, Kayla is mortally wounded, leading the captured mutants to Professor Charles Xavier and safety. After Logan kills Weapon 11, Stryker arrives and shoots Logan in the head with an adamantium bullet, rendering Logan unconscious. Before Stryker can shoot Kayla, she grabs him and uses her mutant power to persuade him to turn around and walk away until his feet bleed. Logan regains consciousness but has lost his memory. He notices dog tags read Logan on one side and Wolverine on the other. He pauses upon noticing Kayla's body, but does not recognize her and leaves the island. So this movie was just a huge mess from pretty much the beginning. Like, the casting was okay. I kind of bounced between good and okay, but you know, you have Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Logan. He did a great job in it. Like I said, Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson just made the movie because, you know, Wade Wilson was the merc with the mouth. So he was always flapping his gums and getting under people's skin, and he did that so well. And they just totally butchered Deadpool. That I don't even call it Deadpool. I'll just call it by Weapon 11. But the rest of the cast was okay. Liev Schreiber was okay. I thought they had a pretty good Sabretooth with Taylor Mane in the first X-Men movie, but you know, Liev Schreiber did a passable job. I liked the job that he did, honestly. But the movie itself, again, it was jumbled to say the least. Let me just see here. Review agitator, Rotten Tomatoes. The film has an approval rating of 38% based on 252 reviews, with an average rating of 5.1 out of 10. The consensus reads, though Hugh Jackman gives his all, he certainly can't help X-Men Origins Wolverine overcome a cliche-ridden script and familiar narrative. On Metacritic, the film scored 40 out of 100 based on 39 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. So yeah, I really got to agree with what Rotten Tomatoes said. It was really cliche and just was too familiar, and I wanted something different out of X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, for the first standalone Wolverine movie, it wasn't what I expected and wasn't what I hoped for. But we did get that later on with the Wolverine. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but before we do that, after Wolverine's, well, X-Men Origins Wolverine, God, that's a mouthful. They couldn't have just called it Wolverine. After its release in 2009, it would be, I'm just looking at my notes here. Give me a minute. It would be 2 years before another X-Men movie came out, that being X-Men First Class, and oh wow, this was this was just everything I hoped it would be. So let's talk about X-Men First Class. X-Men First Class was directed by Matthew Vaughn and was produced by Lauren Schuler Donner again, Bryan Singer, Simon Kinberg, and Gregory Goodman, with a screenplay by Ashley Edward Miller, Zach Stentz, Jane Goodman, and Matthew Vaughn, and a story by Sheldon Turner and Bryan Singer, and of course based on X-Men created by Jack Kirby and Bruce Lee. Stan Lee. Bruce Lee, what? That'd be an interesting comic book, though, if it was created by Bruce Lee. The movie starred James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Rose Byrne, January Jones, Oliver Platt, and Kevin Bacon. And I think it also has Jennifer Lawrence in it as Mystique. It was released on June 3rd, 2011. And it cost anywhere between $140 million and $160 million and made $353 million at the box office. Just coming in under X-Men Origins Wolverine, but still an impressive amount, making back its entire budget. The general plot of the movie is, in a Nazi death camp, Nazi scientist Klaus Schmidt witnesses a young Eric Lencher bend a metal gate with his mind when he is separated from his mother, which we saw in the very first X-Men movie. In his office, Schmidt orders Lencher to move a coin on his desk and kills the boy's mother when Lencher cannot. In grief and anger, Lencher's magnetic power manifests, killing 2 guards and destroying the room. Meanwhile, at a mansion in Westchester County, New York, child telepath Charles Xavier meets young shapeshifter Raven, whose natural form is blue-skinned and scaly. Overjoyed to meet someone different like him, he invites her to live with his family as a foster sister. In 1962, Lencher is tracking down Schmidt, while Xavier graduates from the University of Oxford. In Las Vegas, CIA officer Moira McTaggart follows U.S. Army Colonel Hendry into the Hellfire Club, where she sees Schmidt, now known as Sebastian Shaw, with mutant telepath Emma Frost, cyclone-producing Riptide, and teleporter Azazel. Threatened by Shaw and teleported by Azazel to the Joint War Room, Hendry advocates deployment of nuclear missiles in Turkey. Shaw, an energy-absorbing mutant whose power have de-aged him, later kills Henry. McTaggart, seeking Xavier's advice on mutation, takes him and Raven to the CIA, where they convince Director McCone that mutants exist and Shaw is a threat. Another CIA officer sponsors the mutants and invites them to secret Division X facility. McTaggart and Xavier find Shaw as Lencher is attacking him, and rescue Lencher from drowning. While Shaw escapes, Xavier brings Lencher to Division X, where they meet young scientist Hank McCoy, a mutant with prehensile feet, who believes Raven's DNA may provide a cure for their appearance. Xavier uses McCoy's mutant locating device Cerebro to seek recruits against Shaw. Xavier and Lencher recruit stripper Angel Salvador, cabbie Armando Munez, army prisoner Alex Summers, and runaway Sean Cassidy. They all create nicknames, and Raven dubs herself Mystique. Raven, thinking McCoy is attracted to her in her natural form, tells him not to use the cure. When she later attempts to seduce Lencher by taking the form of various women, Lencher tells her that she is beautiful as she is, in her natural mutant form. Something that was mentioned in the third X-Men movie when Magneto's walking away after Mystique has been injected with the mutant cure. He tells her that she was so beautiful before. Yeah, okay. Well, she's beautiful in both forms, but don't get me wrong. That's, Rebecca Romijn Stamos, or I guess it's Rebecca Romijn O'Connell now. Beautiful woman. Anyway, where was I? With McCoy plotting, the mutants and McTaggart take a jet to the blockade line, where Xavier uses his telepathy to influence a Soviet sailor to destroy the ship carrying the missiles, and Lencher uses his magnetic power to lift Shaw's submarine from the water and deposit it on land. During the ensuing battle, Lencher seizes Shaw's helmet, allowing Xavier to immobilize Shaw. Lencher tells Shaw he shares Shaw's exclusivity view of mutants, but to avenge his mother, kills Shaw over Xavier's objections by forcing the Nazi cloning from his childhood through Shaw's brain. That was an intense moment when he did that. That was wow. I was absolutely blown away by First Class. I thought this was hands down the best of the X-Men movies until Days of Future Past came along. Because you had the original X-Men movie, which I thought was great. X2 I thought was fantastic. X3 I thought was kind of subpar, but still good at parts. And then you had this. I think this one blew it all away. Great casting with everybody they picked to play the roles, like having Jennifer Lawrence play Mystique. She did so good in that. She's just a great addition to the cast. And I don't want to say she's a replacement for Rebecca Romijn, but she did good filling those shoes. And then you have James McAvoy as Professor Xavier, an actor who I have been really impressed by lately. Have you seen the movie Split? He is fantastic in that. And I think Michael Fassbender was a great Magneto. He did such a good job channeling Ian McKellen's Mystique and character, Mystique, in that movie, in the original 3 movies that he was in. And everybody just did a great job. So I absolutely loved X-Men First Class. I thought it was a great return to the X-Men movies. And then to round out this episode, we talked about a not so good Wolverine movie. Now let's talk about a good Wolverine movie as we talk about The Wolverine. The Wolverine was directed by James Mangold and produced by Lauren Schuler Donner and Hutch Parker, with a screenplay by Mark Bombeck and Scott Frank, and was based on the graphic novel Wolverine by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller. Again, it had Hugh Jackman return as the title character of Logan Wolverine, and also included Famke Janssen in it as well, which was great. And music by Marco Beltrami, who is one of the best composers working in cinema today. The movie was released on July 26th and cost $120 million to make and raked in $414 million at the box office, making it a bona fide success and making it at the time the highest grossing Wolverine movie and the highest grossing movie of these 3 movies. A quick look at the plot. In 1945, Logan is held in a Japanese POW camp near Nagasaki. During the atomic bombing of Nagasaki, Logan rescues an officer named Ichiro Yoshida and shields him from the blast, because he can do that. Nothing's going to hurt Wolverine. Nothing. In the present day, Logan lives as a hermit in the Yukon, tormented by hallucinations of Jean Grey, whom he was forced to kill to save the world in X-Men Last Stand. He's located by Yukio, a mutant with the ability of foreseeing people's deaths, on behalf of Ichiro, now the CEO of Technology Zimbalist Iricho. Oh, of a Technology Zimbalist. Never mind. Ichiro, who is dying of cancer, wants Logan to accompany Yukio to Japan so that he may repay his life debt. In Tokyo, Logan meets Ichiro's son Shingen and granddaughter Mariko. There we go. Japanese names, I'm no good with them. There, Ichiro offers to transfer Logan's healing abilities into his own body, thus saving Ichiro's life and veiling Logan of his near immortality, which Logan views as a curse. Logan refuses and prepares to leave the following day. That night, Ichiro's physician, Dr. Green, also known as Viper, introduces something into Logan's body, but Logan dismisses it as a dream. The next morning, Logan is informed that Ichiro has died. At the funeral, Yakuza gangsters attempt to kidnap Mariko, but Logan and Mariko escape together into the urban sprawl of Tokyo. Logan is shot and his wounds do not heal as quickly as they should. After fighting off more Yakuza on a bullet train, Logan and Mariko hide in a local love hotel. Meanwhile, Ichiro's bodyguard, Harada, meets with Dr. Green, who, after demonstrating her mutant powers on him, demands he find Logan and Mariko. Logan and Mariko travel to Ichiro's house in Nagasaki, and the two slowly fall in love. Meanwhile, Yukio has a vision of Logan dying and goes to warn him. That will come into play later on in Part 3. Before Yukio arrives, Mariko is captured by the Yakuza. After interrogating one of the kidnappers, Logan and Yukio confront Mariko's fiancé, corrupt Minister of Justice Nobuo Mori. Mori confesses that he conspired with Shingen to have Mariko killed because Ichiro left control of the company to Mariko, not Shingen. Yukiro arrives and kills Dr. Green as Logan fights the Silver Samurai, which was really cool to see. The Silver Samurai severs Logan's adamantium claws and begins to extract Logan's healing abilities, revealing himself to be Ichiro, who had faked his death. Ichiro regains his youth, but Mariko intervenes and stabs Ichiro with Logan's severed claws. Logan regenerates his bone claws and kills Ichiro. Logan collapses and has one final hallucination of Jean, in which he decides to finally let go of her. Mariko becomes CEO of Yoshida Industries and bids farewell to Logan as he prepares to leave Japan. Yukio vows to stay by Logan's side as his bodyguard as they depart to places unknown. In a mid-credits scene, Logan returns to the United States 2 years later and is approached at the airport by Eric Lencher, who warns him of a grave new threat to the mutant race, and Charles Xavier, whom Logan thought was dead. That end part threw me for a loop because I was still going off X-Men 3. And yeah, I thought Xavier had died too, but to see him come back, although I don't remember if they ever explained why he came back. But all of that just kind of led into X-Men Days of Future Past. When, well, I'll get into that movie next week, but wow, let's talk about the Wolverine. I thought this was so much better in every aspect than X-Men Origins Wolverine. This should have been what X-Men Origins Wolverine was, but at least we got a decent standalone Wolverine movie this time around. We'd get an even better one a couple years later with Logan, but we're going to talk about that next week. So, these three movies, where do they stack? Well, like I said, Wolverine was meh at best. First time I watched that, it was when the unfinished CG version was downloaded to torrent sites, and I kind of downloaded it and watched it. But I bought the DVD when it came out. I thought it was good. Like I said, I'm a completionist, so I have every X-Men movie up to X-Men Days of Future Past. I don't have Logan, I don't have I don't have Deadpool, and I don't have Apocalypse yet. That's a big yet, because those were all fairly good movies. I'll talk about them next week. But these three movies that we're talking about this week, yeah, of the three of them, I'd say X-Men First Class was the best one. followed by Wolverine, and then the Wolverine, I should say, and then X-Men Origins. We're just gonna call it that from now because it's too long to say X-Men Origins, Wolverine, the Wolverine. But yeah, all these movies were just ranged from fair to excellent. Like, I thought X-Men First Class was such an excellent movie. It was everything that I hoped for, and then when we skip ahead to X-Men Days of Future Past, again, that was everything I hoped for. I saw that one in theaters, so I had to see that one in theaters. So yeah, overall, I thought these next three movies were range from okay to really, really good. What more can I say about them? Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode. Before we go any further, I do have a couple quick programming notes for you. Coming up tomorrow, there is going to be a brand new edition of the Toy Chest coming your way. Nothing Thursday. And then Friday, there's going to be another new taste test coming up. And then next week, oh my god, you're getting a whole host of videos next week. Monday, I'm going to have an album review of Godsmack's new album, When Legends Rise. Tuesday, of course, will be Irish Bandit Revolution. Wednesday will be another new Toy Chest video, nothing on Thursday. And then wrapping up the week on Friday, you're going to see another new taste test. Wow, next week is going to be a fantastic week if you're subscribed to the Irish Bandit Revolution channel. And you should be. Well, let's get into all those details in a second here. First and foremost, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Leave a comment in the comment section down below on what your favorite of these three movies are. Mine's First Class, but if we had to go, it'd be First Class, the Wolverine, and at the very last place, these three X-Men Origins Wolverine. Leave a comment below letting me know which one is your favorite. Don't forget to share this video anywhere you can on Facebook, Twitter, wherever available. Over my shoulder right here, you can see a link to last week's episode, that being part 1 of the X-Men Retrospective, when we're talking about the first 3 X-Men movies. In the description down below, you're going to see a link to my Redbubble store. Just got to make sure that this is right side up, because one time I did this and it was upside down. But, yes, click the link in the description for my Redbubble store, where you will be able to pick up anything of your choosing: t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, baseball shirts, leggings, coffee mugs, travel mugs, stickers, whatever your heart desires, you can pick it up there. And don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, don't forget to tap that bell and you'll be notified when I upload anything new or when I go live. And like I said, this week and next week, getting a whole host of videos coming your way. So be on the lookout for all those, and I cannot wait for next week. All right, well, next week's episode is going to round out the 3-part X-Men movies retrospective. We're going to be talking about X-Men First... No, we already talked about X-Men First Class. We're going to be talking about X-Men Days of Future Past. Excellent movie. We're going to be talking about Deadpool. We're going to be talking about Logan. We're going to be talking about X-Men Apocalypse. And then we're going to talk a little bit about X-Men 2 and... no, not X-Men 2. Deadpool 2. Yeah, that's it. Deadpool 2. And we're going to be talking about... X-Men Dark Phoenix. I was mixing the two up for some reason. I have no idea why. Anyway, I hope you join me for that episode next week. And then we're only 3 episodes away from the season finale. We've got another Mighty Marvel Month episode coming up with my 5 favorite Marvel characters. And then we're going to finish off Mighty Marvel Month with best and worst Marvel movies. So hope you guys join me for that. I hope you join me for all the videos coming up. Oh, wow. It's going to be something else, guys. All right, well, that will wrap it up for this episode. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you again very, very soon for another edition of Irish Bandit Revolution. I'm the Bandit, and I'm out of here. Take care.